There is a moment right after you sign the 150th page of your closing documents where the loan officer shakes your hand and says, "Congratulations, you're a homeowner." Your family is proud. Society tells you that you finally made it. You just took your life savings, $80,000 you bled for, and locked it inside a structure made of wood and drywall. You believe you've just made the safest, smartest financial decision of your adult life. The reality of that closing room is that your liquid savings are now tied to an illiquid liability, a structure that will aggressively bleed your cash flow for the next 3 decades through interest, taxes, and repairs. My name is Nick, and I spend way too much time reverse engineering how the financial system is designed to extract wealth from people who follow the rules. Today, we are dismantling the biggest sacred cow in American finance, the primary residence. To understand why this achievement so often results in long-term financial stagnation, we have to look past the cultural pride and start auditing the actual mathematical outflows. When you rent an apartment, your rent payment is the absolute maximum you will pay for housing that month. When you own a home, your mortgage is merely the absolute minimum. The average buyer grossly underestimates what we call phantom costs. These are unrecoverable expenses: property taxes, homeowners insurance, HOA fees, the cost of capital, and maintenance. This volumetric diagram illustrates a general rule of thumb. Phantom costs average around 5% of the property's value annually. On a $500,000 house, that is $25,000 a year, over $2,000 a month that evaporates into the ether. This money builds zero equity and generates zero wealth for your future. It functions exactly like rent paid to the government, the bank, and the local utility companies. Let's look at Greg. Greg is 32, makes decent money, and feels guilty about renting his $2,200 a month apartment. He buys a $500,000 house with $100,000 down at a 6.5% interest rate. This chart audits Greg's $30,000 year one mortgage. Only $4,500 goes toward principal, $25,500 goes to bank interest. Add $6,000 for taxes, $2,000 for insurance, and $5,000 for a broken HVAC. Greg just spent $38,500 in unrecoverable costs. That is effectively $3,200 a month in unrecoverable rent paid to the system. Meanwhile, his old apartment only cost him $26,400 for the entire year. Greg didn't invest his money. He trapped his liquid capital while simultaneously increasing his monthly housing burn rate by $1,000. This is the quiet reality of how the wealthy view real estate. They see a primary residence as a luxury consumption item, not a wealth-building vehicle. The American dream of home ownership was a marketing campaign popularized in the mid-20th century to stimulate the domestic economy through mass consumption of building materials and household goods. This model prioritized economic stability over individual mobility. By anchoring citizens to 30-year debt obligations, the system produced a predictable, immobile labor pool, workers who are less likely to risk relocation or career changes when they are tethered to a specific geography. Renting, by contrast, functions as a service contract for shelter. It provides geographic flexibility and a strict, unbreachable ceiling on your monthly housing liabilities. Systemic wealth relies on assets that compound and remain liquid, rather than static structures that slowly decay and demand constant capital injections. The mathematical alternative is incredibly unglamorous. You keep renting the apartment and entirely bypass the down payment. Taking that $100,000 down payment and dropping it into a broad market index fund, like the S&P 500, historically returns 9% annually. Then invest the $1,000 a month saved from avoiding phantom costs. In 10 years, while Greg is fixing a flooded basement and staring at a mortgage balance that has barely moved, your liquid portfolio will be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The cultural pressure to buy a house is deafening, but your net worth doesn't care about societal expectations. It only cares about